Hey, it's the podcast guy.
Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast.
And there it is! Sutton United of the GM Vauxhall Conference have put out First Division Coventry City, winners of the FA Cup themselves less than 2 years ago. And what a moment to enjoy for the fans of this Surrey side. They've had their moments before, but never one like this. But the whistle goes down. Delight for Sutton United. Sutton United, the National League, are through to the last 16 of the FA Cup. No longer English football's perennial non-league club. A 123-year crescendo reaches a new peak for Sutton United, who are promoted to the Football League for the first time.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton United Talk Time on podcast. It's the Sutton Podcast in association with Lucky Star Gin. I'm your host Mike, and delighted to say joining me today we've got the gaffer Matt Gray. Hi Matt, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Yeah, yourself?
Very well, thank you. So we're going to very quickly talk about the end of last season since we spoke, talk about a bit of summer recruitment and look forward to our third season in the EFL. So I think I said this to you already, but you've got the 1, 2, 3 finishes in Sutton United's history in the league positions in the last 3 years. So congratulations on that. I'm sure I said that already. As always, everyone, your engagement is important. Please join the discussion by sharing thoughts and comments on each of our episodes, interact with other fans, tell me what you want to hear next. And you can find me on all the social media platforms at Sutton Podcast. Likes, shares, comments are really, really appreciated, and they help me grow and let other people get irritated by me as well. So let's dive in. Thank you, Matt, for making the time to join me on the show. I know you've been really, really busy, but have you had any rest at all this summer?
I probably have, but it doesn't feel like it. And my holiday seems a long while ago, and that was certainly a working one as well. So, no, it's been a longer break with the off-season than in previous couple of years. But, I suppose I had some rest in there. But, yeah, a busy summer. And certainly looking forward to full swing ahead with pre-season, and obviously with the season starting of the weekend, and really looking forward to getting into it. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, so obviously when we first got promoted, you had a manic season trying to sort out all the contracts for everyone all of a sudden, and we're going full time. The training ground, then last season we had various things, and the season kicked off ridiculously early as well. This was your first chance for summer, and you've decided to do a little bit of a rebuild. So that's exciting.
Exactly that. I was talking about someone like that the other day, and as you say, the season we got promoted 2 years ago was just absolutely ridiculous. A 4-week turnaround, and trying to make as many leaps as possible and close as many gaps as possible to on and off the pitch, and certainly from my side, let alone obviously with the board of directors what they had to do, but. Just in terms of me and the football side of trying to bridge the gap and be a football league club overnight, which it certainly felt like it at the time. It was a manic 4 weeks, and into the pre-season and the season as well. And then last year, even 1 year in and looking at a few and reflecting on our first season, but not having a base, not having a training ground, suffering from a few sort of muscular injuries and ones that we wanted to improve with extra staff added on to what we already had, as well as the facilities, and then getting the training ground that we did this time last year was a huge leap for us. And then bringing Sean Miles in as strength conditioner, along with Dundo and Ali as well as head of medical, were two big acquisitions to the staff, which I was really working on last year to prevent those muscle injuries. And then I believe we're in the bottom 10% of the 72 league clubs in terms of muscle injuries last year, which was certainly an excellent stat from what we recognised this time last year. But as we all know, the amount of injuries we're hit with in the first half of the season were just ridiculous, and some real big ones as well, and mainly all sort of contact injuries, knee injuries. Obviously, Bard's his broken leg and a hernia, and ones that we felt we couldn't prevent no matter what facilities or staff we had, and just the nature of football. And they seem to all come on top of us at one half of a season, which was really hard to take. So yeah, and then this year, I suddenly decided to keep myself busy, as you said, and I feel, I've been 4 years as a manager, and you speak to experienced people in the game, and you go on your courses and do whatever you do as a manager to keep evolving. And after 4 years as a manager, I feel you do need to freshen things up a little bit. And I did that a little bit off the pitch as well. Brought Junior Lewis in, and a great guy, but a huge experience both as a player and as a coach stroke assistant at many different clubs. So he's been a real good and fresh voice onto the training pitch and in the meetings that we have as a staff. And then I've never, as a Sutton manager, gone away for like a little mini training camp as well. And we certainly weren't going to be fancy to start going abroad to Spain's and Portugal's and whatever just yet. But we went to Bisham Abbey and stayed at Burnham Beaches, and we replicated the England Euro '96 training camp, which unfortunately not many of the players remember, but I certainly do. And a great month back in '96, and it was and also a great 5 days, what we had at the start of pre-season, in getting everyone together, and a vital training camp, and one I thought was a really useful exercise, and I'll certainly be looking to do again because I thought it was invaluable. So we're freshening those couple of bits off and doing that a little bit different. And then for me, with the freshening up of the playing squad as well, and I felt it was much needed. And that has been the thing that's certainly kept me busy this summer, because I've been happy. I'm happy with my staff, with the addition of Junior. I'm happy with our facilities and how we do things and bridging the gap off the pitch as a Football League club. And I just felt we needed to have a little bit of a rebuild within the squad, because, you look at the likes of Sir Alex Ferguson, 13 league titles. He didn't win them and keep being successful with the same squad and the same players. Yes, he kept nucleus over the years, your Nevilles and Giggs and Scholes and Butts and whatever, who were pretty much one club men, but he constantly evolved and constantly improved his squad, but certainly keeping the hardcore beliefs and ways he got football results, and that's probably where I'm at a little bit in the summer, and wanting to have a freshen up and rebuild again and build the new Sutton squad to go and be as successful as the one we have been in the last 4 years.
I mean, I've a couple of things on there. I spoke to Terry at some point in the season, and he said, I've never known a series of injuries like it, all in the same positions, same sort of players. And I'm like, okay, so if you've not been knowing it, then it must have been a bit weird. And I did ask Sean, was he a little bit nervous when all these injuries kept coming? And he was like, yeah, but then Matt, you reeled off all the injuries in one of your interviews. You kind of said, this was this. And it was literally like everyone was like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Because it does just, when you hear you've got a list of injuries, your mind does think, well, what's going on in training? But as you say, they were all sort of contacts. I think there might be one. I think Josh had something in training, but other than that, everything else was on the pitch.
Exactly that. You're going to, of course, you're going to get muscle injuries. You're going to have those throughout the season. But when we've learnt from the previous year, and now this last season being in the bottom 10% of the 72 league clubs is great from everyone involved in the staff and the facilities we've got. But no one can legislate or compensate for the injuries that we did have in that first half of the season.
Yeah. So we last spoke back in February, and it was right in a sort of golden period. Things were going swimmingly for about a 3-month period from mid-December to mid-March. I spoke to Craig, and he was like, are you aware when this run starts ticking over that we're on a good run, or is it just, I know the mantra is play every game as it comes, but is there a feeling of, well, we're not going to lose?
Definitely, yeah, you do feel, there's different stages of the season, and certainly different stages of my 4 years as a manager here, and I felt it was very much a grind and a dig in and stick together and be united and keep churning out results and putting points on the board through the tough times, because they do come. It's natural. It's football. It's not all rosy, and it's not all one way, and it doesn't just go on a straight line up and you just keep going and going and going. Of course not. There's bumps in the road, and it's important that when those bumps in the road do come, and they will come, and that's football, and every club will have them, that we you stick together and you keep finding a way to keep putting points on the board, and we managed to do that, and I was really pleased during that period. But I also knew when we started to turn the corner as well, and I started feeling that, and I think it was late November, Carlisle away, I felt it was a very us performance. We were very dominant. We had a real mix to our play, and caused them a lot of threats with many aspects of our play. And then there was a real sort of belief started to build off the back of that, and which culminated in only 3 league defeats out of 21. And that was, I think, over that period, as we say, a few months, 3 to 4 months, we were right up there, the best team in the league, I think, along with Stockport. So that little middle period was a great run for us. It really put us right in the playoff mix, which I think we were 4 points off the playoffs going into the Easter weekend, which was a phenomenal achievement, really, considering of where we had been at in those early stages of the season.
Yeah, it kind of peaked. Didn't know it was a peak at the time, but we played Crawley and we scored 3 goals for the first time, and I think we actually got into positive goal difference at that point as well. And then we just couldn't seem to get any luck at all. I mean, a draw at Barrow, it doesn't sound so bad because they were playoff rivals at the time as well. But I think there was 4 games around that time. There was Barrow, Mansfield, Walsall, and Grimsby. What the hell were they doing? I mean, they had an FA Cup quarter final on the Saturday. Why were they coming and trying to play a game of football?
Because they wanted to play on the Saturday. That's why. It was a tough game, that was, and Walsall was so good, and a late equaliser from Rosie, who had been outstanding and has been outstanding for us, and unfortunately made a rare mistake and cost us. We were superb at Walsall. So yeah, we didn't suddenly get the rub of the green at that late stage, but it was the Easter weekend really that fizzled it out. A very close and tight game against Stockport, which their manager admits he completely changed everything that he does and has done all season just to try and combat us on the day, which was a huge compliment and a huge respect to us. And he managed to narrowly get the win there against us, and then we went to, obviously, which is always going to be a tough game at Bradford in front of 18,500 and Mark Hughes, and then very much should be playoff, if not better. And we missed a penalty and got beat up there, which just put pay really to our season and or our hopes, if you like, of trying to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, again, same kind of question where we're on the good run. Do you kind of then know we're on a tricky spell here, and we don't know where the next one's coming for? Eastie was like, no, we come in every game's afresh and we start all over again.
Yeah, no, I've never been. Probably the only time I've really felt like I was probably right at the start in my first 4 years, when 4 years ago, in my first season, when 1 in 14, I was thinking, I don't know what more I can do here. So no, that it didn't feel like that. But it is the first time that, and I have been involved in teams and clubs at the end of the seasons, and no matter what anybody says, it's certainly, it does change when your playoff dream or your hope of getting promoted or suddenly your season just peters out a little bit, and you really do, and it did peter out, and it was disappointing. But you really, during those periods, it gives you a good time to actually reflect and really look at everything. It gives you a little bit more time instead of getting caught up. In the day to day and game to game, of really keep pushing to try and get over the line to get in the playoffs or get promoted. Maybe gives you a bit of time to reflect and analyse. And I think that was an invaluable period for me.
Funny enough, that's the next 2 questions. It was so at the point that we got those 2 horrendous results against the relegation threatened side, I kind of was saying, well, is it not a point that some of these players have been going full tilt for 2-3 years, constantly going for something, and now we don't have anything to go for? Is it just like the tiredness and the motivation just going, do you know what, just calm. Or is it that some people had eyes on avoiding injuries for other clubs?
I wouldn't necessarily. I think everything comes into an individual basis of where people are. But certainly, as a as a group, I didn't feel we were where we needed to be, and I could analyse and, as I say, look and reflect on everything, both individually and as a team and as a squad and as my staff and what we're doing, all to have the drive and want to be successful again. And I'm as driven as ever to go and continue to win football matches and to keep challenging and trying to be successful in whatever competition that may be. So it gave me, as I say, whether I looked at individuals or groups or the squad together or what I needed to change, tweak, I wasn't too worried in terms of, I feel it gave me and certainly Jason and the other staff to really have a good reflection and see what we wanted to do moving forward for next season. And I felt that was a really big period for us.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of, the season's divided into three parts. I'm not saying which is which, but there's the good, the bad, the ugly. And I mean, are you able to reflect as a whole, or do you kind of just see each of the three parts going, well, we coped well with that there, we've done brilliantly there, or or do you reflect?
The overall is the biggest thing you do have to reflect overall, because that's what you get judged on over 46 league games, and certainly maybe getting on the bus going to Carlisle, if you'd have offered me the points tally and 14th in the league back then, where we were going with what we've had to go through as a group with our injuries, I'd have absolutely bitten your hand off with everyone telling me how tough the second season syndrome is and how tough it is for promoted sides in their second season. So to go and have the unbelievable first season that we did, and to go and finish 14th with all our troubles that we had in the first few months of the season, late November, early December, I would absolutely bitten your hand off for it, just to regroup again and go again. So as a whole, another very, very successful season when you're looking at some of the troubles that we had to face throughout it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of your interviews, you mentioned that you felt the team seemed to lose spirit and identity, or words to that effect. I'm not saying that was exact words. I mean, was that something you thought of at the time, or was that a hindsight reflection that you're like, oh, we're just not ourselves? Or
yeah, maybe just not ourselves at the end, really. But like you say, it's the first time I've been as a manager in that scenario, in that situation where suddenly we've been so successful, we've had so many positives, that suddenly a bubble just got burst with the last half dozen games. It was hard to take, of course, with some difficult results in there. But it was, as I've just said to you a couple of times now already, it gave me real time to reflect on what I want to do to freshen it up on and off the pitch, to have a new drive, a new mentality, a new group to go and be successful again.
Excellent. Well, just before we move on to that, I mean, how do you, because we've mentioned it's been non-stop for the whole time. You've had starting the COVID, then the promotion, then everything. So it's been non-stop. So how do you kind of step away and just go, do you know what, I'm just going to park it over there for a little minute and go and concentrate on something else? What do you do to relax? Do you try and relax?
It's a good question. It is a good question, because I probably need to manage myself a little bit better with that. I'm trying. I probably realised probably before Christmas, if I'm being honest, and I couldn't keep going because, like you say, off the back of lockdown and coming out of that, and then the stresses and the pressures of winning the National League, the 4-week turnaround, the non-stop first season, the Wembley Cup final, the short turnaround again because how early the season had to start because of the World Cup. Yeah, you've got to be careful. You're not in danger of burning yourself out, and that is a big problem that I've heard many managers talk about over the years. And you've got to keep yourself fresh and energised and constantly at the top of my game, because it will rub off on everybody else. So I think I realised and noticed that around maybe just before Christmas. But I also realised and noticed maybe just before Christmas that I was actually probably getting to the stage where I was reasonably happy with what we have created off the pitch in terms of our personnel and facilities, etc., of where we're at for this stage of being our second season as a Football League club. So, it is and has been a bit of reflection on me managing myself a little, maybe trying to make a little bit more time for myself and manage my week a little bit better, which I'm very conscious of trying to do this season coming up. But right this second, I can't and I won't until I'm happy with my squad and got everyone else in, that I'm happy with. And I think when that window closes at the end of August, hopefully I'm sorted before then, but when that window closes at the end of August, I've got quite a clear mindset of how I want to structure my week to allow myself to have a little bit of downtime throughout the week to make sure I'm fresh and ready to go and be at the top of my game as well in both training and in games.
Well, I'm going to plug his book for him because Johnny Lowry's just done a match fit book all about mental health in football and comes out at the end of August. So get hold of a copy of that for him.
I might have time to read it by then.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, so we're going to move on to summer, and there are going to be bits of this that I fully get that we might not want to labour on, and we can all read about it in your autobiography. So we had lots of players leaving, which meant of a revamp. Was this all part of the same decision, or I know sort of Ali's moved on to League One, and Enzio, I think we offered a contract, but was there sort of oh God, this is going to have to happen, or was it no? I've already planned for this. I know what's happening.
Yeah, no, it was very much I know what's happening, and I made my decision quite a few weeks before the end of the season on quite a few. Ali Smith was one I was desperate to keep because, like you say, I'm such a big fan of him. He's such a great lad, such a top professional, and such a top player. And when you get someone who, he was playing for Altrincham. In that season, we won the league. And to sort of spot him playing for them and to bring him into us, work on his game, change his game, and then to see how he developed both as a person, as a player, and to kick on and be such a top player for us. And then again, with the Bosman rule and being over 24 and the way he dealt with all of that and how honest and straight he was, and I totally accept anything football as long as people were straight and honest, and he couldn't have been anything more than that. So when he then tells me that, if he's moving sideways or whatever, that would have been hard to take, but to move on to a big club for League One, and to go and get that move for him, I was absolutely delighted for him. Gutted to lose him, but I will certainly be following his career and hope our paths cross again, because what a top player and a top character he was. And Enzio had done so well for us as well, but due to family issues, it was a little bit mutual on that one. And when I was very clear on what I wanted to try and create again this season, and when Enzio just wasn't really feeling that it was right, then I wasn't feeling it was right either, and we sort of mutually. And I'll always get on great with Enz, and he's been great for me, both at this club and previously, and I'll be tracking his career as well. So, but no, I felt with the others, I felt it was time, and whether those players who played a lot for me or whether they hadn't, and again, not that I'm a Man United fan or a massive Alex Ferguson fan, but you look at how successful he was. And top players for him at the time. Yapstam was probably arguably the best centre-half in the world at the time. Got rid of him. Roy Keane, captain. No, see ya. And there was big players. Beckham was in the prime of his career. Moved him on. And there was, big players that have been big players for Man United that Ferguson chose the right timing to move them on. And that's certainly how I felt as well.
Yeah. I mean, strangely, putting Ali aside, because I kind of said, and I took a little bit of stick for this when I said Ali's kind of outgrown us because he's grown faster than we've grown. And someone didn't like that. But I said Enzio might be the bigger miss because whilst I fully understand players don't want to sit on the bench, but when you've got Enzio on the bench, you can go right, left back, left wing, right back, right wing. You've got someone like that. It's an amazing skill to have. But I understand why he wants to move on. But the new signings, I mean, first of all, what the hell is going on? I don't have to do massive deep searches for these players. They've all got like loads of stats and pages available to me. And so we've got signing players that we've all heard of, which is amazing. John has said he would come on and shout about how good they are for about 30 seconds each. So we don't have to deep dive into all of them. But can you kind of give us an overview? I mean, there's lots of experience and prime ages there. What was sort of thinking behind that? You just want them to come in and hit the ground running, or?
Yeah. Just big on characters, big on characters within the dressing room, big on a desire of why, irrelevant of their age, why they want to come and play for Sutton United, and their experience as well, and which would then all fit into how we've managed to go and get football results for a long period of time, and looking at the attributes that come and continue to improve that within the structure that we do. And then I think I've said to you, and I've said in so many interviews, that I find the biggest difference between the National League and the Football League is the transfer window. And you have to, in the National League, the National League squad that we won it with was so small, but knowing that any time, if we did have any injuries, I could go into the market and get a loan or a player in at any time. Whereas here, it's definitely a step up in level. It's definitely a step up in terms of the players and the squads and the teams that you're playing against. And you need to be right at it every single game to earn every point that you possibly do, or you'll get found out. And with the window shutting at the end of August, I believe you need near enough two players for each position to one, add that competition, which I believe will add, improve that position of that player desperate to keep his shirt. But also, if we did suffer injuries in there, that we've got more than adequate replacement in there. So when you look at the experience of Steve Arnold coming in, who I've worked briefly with before, but Jace has worked with before, knowing the character, massive on, and his hunger and desire, a good age for a goalkeeper at 33, to come and really put pressure under the excellent Jack Rose last season. There you go, fight it out, boys. You've got to try and get the shirt. Ryan Jackson, good timing, and you need a little bit of luck with your signings and timing and what their personal situation is. And he's a South London boy, and living up in Cheltenham with a young family was difficult. And the timing of him coming back to London, of where we're at and what we're trying to do, and then his experience and his athleticism and what he can bring to that right back position to try and get the shirt off the Players Player of the Year 2 years in a row, and it's going to be a good battle there for the right back slot. But knowing Joe Kizzy, in all fairness, has been absolutely outstanding when he's moved inside to centre half, to put the pressure on with Louis John, who's doing great with his injury, since it hasn't played since Harrogate, I think was late January, maybe first week of February. Ben Goodliff coming back from his horrendous injury in the first half of the season, and then signing someone who's in the prime of his career and the experience and how well he's done in the last 2 seasons with Omar Swamley. So 4 with Kizzy, real strong options. You've got the young Toby there as well, who will continue to develop, and has unfortunately missed pre-season, which has been unfortunate for him. And then Harty and Rob. Harty had a really difficult first half of the season, again with injuries, and really competed well with Rob in the second half. So that's a real good battle. So my main captain and vice captain, how good they've been with me from day one. But to bring 2 different types, but a young, up-and-coming, athletic, real good potential in Christian Ngessen, along then with an experienced 1-4 promotions, just got promoted out of the league in Craig Clay. Now I've got unbelievable options in there. Amari Patrick, again, was desperate to get a League One move. Wouldn't stand in anyone's way, hence probably why it took so long. But I wanted to make sure I could possibly try and win the League Two race if that League One didn't quite work out for him. And with him being, again, the southern base, not far from our training ground, desperate to play as a wide player. We look at the wide players that we've produced and moved on and playing in sort of an Adjaboy role, if you like, and how successful our wingers have been for us, then that was a no-brainer for him to come and be part of what we do and suit how he plays. And already seen in glimpses of pre-season when he gets the ball and us getting him the ball and what a threat he's going to be for us. Josh Coley as well, moving back up from Exeter. So still looking to add a couple in there. But then just Harry Smith, again, his location, what he wants, the prime of his career. And then Aidan O'Brien coming in, who I've worked with previously and I've known Aidan, and what a good lad. And just, again, timed in with him trying to get back to London, with it not quite working out at Shrewsbury. Scott Casket. Yeah, so we've managed to I'll say be lucky. I feel really pleased with where our recruitment is, but you do need quite a few things to fall into place when you're trying to make that signing. And believe you me, it's just not as easy as going, we'll just go and sign so-and-so, and you just go and meet him and sign on the paper, and that's the end of that. It doesn't, unfortunately, work like that. So it's been extremely hard work, a lot of conversations with a lot of different agents, but really pleased with the recruitment. But as I say, looking to add those last little pieces of the jigsaw into what is a really pleasing squad so far.
So, yeah, we've mentioned Amari, and I want to pick up on him because I did try to create a little bit of mischief, because when I saw he was leaving Carlisle because he wanted to play out wide, I kind of looked him up. And I think I read something he wants to move back to London. I looked him up and saw where he was from, and I was like, oh, look, he wants to play as a winger, and we need wingers. He only lives down the road, ha, ha, ha. And about a month later, we sign him. So everyone's like, you must have known. I was like, I swear to God, I was making mischief.
Yeah. So, I wouldn't have thought we'd have known about a month ago either, because that probably wasn't one that was bubbling over at the time.
But again, this might be silly, but he's obviously played in a team with Toby. So do you think the same as you do, you're a little bit like, oh, well, hang on, what's that player like? Do players kind of go, oh, do you know what? Yeah, go work with Matt. He's a good guy and all that kind of stuff. So do you think players put in good words for each other?
100%. And I know Toby Silva did brilliant for us. And again, a great lad. And I saw him at the end of the season when Carlisle came to us and managed to catch up with him. He's such a top guy, Toby, and did so well. And we'll go down in history as a huge part of that squad that got us promoted. But when I did meet Amari, he said he's very close to Toby when they were staying up in Carlisle, and Toby spoke so fondly of the club and what we're all about. And again, that was a big push for us. And I probably won't name the player, but other players when I've met them, and I can certainly remember one saying, I've played against Sutton and at Sutton quite a few times now. And it is so tough and it is so hard. And I'd actually quite like to join you so I can be on that side of the fence rather than having to try and play against you a couple of times a season. So nice things, and very respectful from all the lads. And, whereas experienced football, the majority experienced Football League campaigners, they're not just signing for the non-league Sutton and don't really know much about them. It's very much now we're a couple of years established, and they certainly do know everything about Sutton in all the meetings with all the players that I've had over the summer.
And there's been a couple of different people who've been at the ground and seen the players. I think you had a training day there the other day, and they were like, for a bunch of so many new people, there's a really good atmosphere. There's a lot of sort of joking around, a lot of sort of banter going backwards and forwards. How have you felt that they've gelled together in the short space of time? I know it's going to grow even more over the season, but how have they done?
Yeah, brilliant. And I think a big plus for that was the Bisham Abbey 5 days that we had was huge. All right, we didn't have some of the recent signings there on that, but I'm so big on people and characters and togetherness, because that is what Sutton United is all about, isn't it? Is the people and the togetherness and us all being united. And I'm massive on that in terms of the players as well and in the change room. And that is why I do, with Jason and the rest of the staff, do our due diligence on character references, but also going to meet them face to face and get a real feel for them and look in their eye. And you never know surely until they come in the building, but I'm a pretty good judge of character, and like to say, majority of the time I would like to get it right in terms of bringing right characters who are going to buy into what we do and what we are, and believe in how we get results, and the work ethic and the togetherness that we're all about.
Okay, so we've mentioned that the players coming in are a lot stronger. I think actually John may have said to me, I sent him a list, someone had written an article and saying, right, here's the players that he thinks Sutton United should sign. And John was like, yeah, they've done us dirty on who we're getting in. I can tell you this is going to be squad improvements, not squad replacements. So stronger squad, experienced players, and as you mentioned, all battling for the same spot. This is going to be a different challenge for you, because normally you're kind of rounding up numbers, who's available, where can we play who. How are you kind of preparing for that, for the knocks on the door asking, right, what do I need to do to get into the starting 11?
Yeah, no, of course I've experienced it before in the years, but over the years. But with the squad that we're assembling, I'm expecting that door to be having a knock or two on. So nothing changes from me really. I look them straight in the eye. I tell them why they're not in the team. I'm honest with them. I want them to be in the team because that makes us going to be better. So if they can listen and improve on why I don't think, whether that's tactically or for whatever reason that I might be going with someone else, then as long as they respect, they might not like what I'm saying, but as long as they respect it, work hard, which I'm sure they will, again, with the characters that we've got. If they then go away, improve their game or look to tweak what I'm asking for them, and they go and do that and then get the shirt, it just means I'm having another knock at the door from somebody else, doesn't it? So, which hopefully continues to make us better as a team, and that's what we strive to do. So, it's certainly not one of the nicest parts of my job, and when I'm leaving players out, because I get on so well with them all, and they're all good lads, and I want them all to play, but unfortunately I can't, and I can only pick 11. But we do stress 46 league games and all the cups and whatever else we've got to play. They're all going to play their part. Of course they are, throughout the season, through many different aspects of the season as well. So no, the players are fully aware where they're at, and I think all we can be as Mike is just honest and tell them where they're at.
Well, you might have to borrow the medical team's ticket machine, so hopefully there'll be no injuries, so I don't have to have people lining up to go into the treatment room and you can have it outside your door. Right, there's a couple of questions I was sent in which fit kind of here. So do we still do the beep test, and is Sam Hart the winner?
I wouldn't know if Sam Hart's the winner because we don't do them. So, the first answer is no. But no, fully on pre-season. Sean's obviously been excellent since he's come in. I know he did a podcast review recently. I will listen to it. I just haven't had the chance yet. So I'll be interested to hear what Sean says. No, but he's a great guy and superb at his job. And he's been in control of the running and our sessions in terms of the physical aspect and building it up to get us in a position of really being one of the fittest teams in the league, which is what we were last year and what we're striving to be this year again.
Yeah, I think one of the good things, obviously there was lots of good stuff, but one of the good things is clearly there's a good relationship, because Ben sent me in a question for him, and it was a banter question, so you can tell they get on with each other. Christian seems to be the younger of the players coming in. Is he one for now, or is he one that we're going to be working on for the future?
No, he's definitely one for now. Definitely, I won't be bringing someone of his experience, as in even at a young age winning the National South and being such an integral part of that Ebbsfleet team who did so well. I believe he's got the attributes. Yes, like anyone would take maybe a little bit of time, just like Ali Smith did say, just to find his feet with us and progress and get used to what we're doing to get the best out of Ali Smith. But no, Christian is a here and now, and he'll I'm sure play a huge part in the season going forward.
Excellent. I know there's a few other puzzles to sort of slot into place, hopefully. Is there plans for people to go on loan for the season, or are we kind of saying, no, this is our squad?
Right now, until I get these last few in, that no one will be going immediately. But once we certainly get the first couple of weeks out of the way with, because we've got 5 games in the first 2 weeks, that will probably be a period where I'll sit down and see where we're at squad wise, who's featured, who's maybe not so much, and with some of those younger lads. The likes of Ollie Kinder, who's done really well in pre-season. Jack Taylor, another youth team prospect, has been really well. Has done really well. Sorry, young Toby Ogadenga has unfortunately missed pre-season, but he will benefit from going to play some games. Brad House will need to go and get a run of games as well. So I'll be looking at those, but right this second, not the here and now.
Okay, you can clearly see my screen, because the next thing is how pleased are you with Ollie and Jack coming through the academy, and what is it about football fans? Why is it football in general, when we get someone from our academy, we almost forgive them anything? So what is it that everyone loves about an academy player, and how pleased are you?
Well, because they're from the local area and they've come through our ranks, and the time and the effort that our academy staff have put in to develop them, to get them ready for our first team squad. And Jimmy Dack has done an unbelievable job since coming in, with all the academy staff, Ricky and Ross and everyone behind the scenes there, who's really, I can't remember if it was after the season or right towards the end of the season, might have been just before the Carlisle game, when I turned up at an academy afternoon awards event and seeing so many of the age groups all the way up and the presentations and just thinking of where we were at 2 years ago and now what's standing here as a Cat 3 academy, and what we don't want to do is lose boys for no money at all, and people just pinching our players. If bigger clubs up the pyramid are going to take our players, then they've got to pay for it now, and that is going to be a source of income for our club as well. Will be the catchment area that we've got and the players that we're bringing through, and already Ollie Kinder, who's done well in pre-season, Jack Taylor being a year below, and how well he's doing, and I speak to Jim and Ross and Ricky and other ones in other age groups coming through, the under-16s and certain boys in certain age groups, and again I'm very conscious and and I'll probably find it relaxing. That might be my little time off actually, is on a Sunday morning just going to grab a coffee and going to watch the under 12s, the under 14s, or whatever it may be, where they're playing, and I've been big on Jim on that, and just sending me the fixture lists for all the different age groups, because obviously I know Bully goes and watches every weekend and reports back to me. He has a huge part to play with the academy. There's a massive link with Jimmy to me as well, so I know Bully's watching and knows every single player in every age group. So along with that, and with my relationship with Jimmy as well, and then me getting down when I can to go and watch whatever age group, I think it'll be massive for the boys as well, to show that unity and togetherness amongst the club. Because I remember when I was in the youth team under 18s at Spurs, and George Graham in the morning of a first team game would come down and watch you playing the youth team in the morning, and he'd be managing the first team in the afternoon, and it really certainly kept you on your toes and made you want to improve and get better, and also see that that the manager of the football club is taking a genuine interest in players coming through. So when we've already had Jack and Ollie do so well this pre-season, it'll be exciting to see one or two more throughout the season, next pre-season, and continue to be that, hopefully, that conveyor belt of producing players for us and being part of our first team squad. And that is why we want a successful academy, and to see players come through and do so well for us.
Yeah, it's the Reading match, I think. Oh, and Ollie played, and there was a moment, I think, in the second half where everyone had just left him back, and I was sort of looking, going, well, they must trust him, because otherwise they'd be sending him up a bit. And I sort of saw Jimmy on the way out, and I said, "Oh, he done very well." And he said, "Oh yeah." He goes, "And they're stacked up behind him as well. Don't you worry." And I was like, "Oh, really? I like this." So yeah, things look good. So, what are our main strengths going to be for this year? Don't give any tactical secrets away, but sort of what are people going to kind of know what Sutton are going to be doing this year?
Being Sutton.
Good. That's fine.
being what we are, together, hard to play against, real flexibility in our play, many ways we can win a football match. If anyone earns or takes a point off on us, they're going to know about it, and they'll have to earn it. So we won't be giving any freebies away, and I do believe it's the toughest League Two ever. It's certainly the most money I've ever known in League Two. Size of clubs' budgets is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know where it's spiraled to. So we know we're going to be in the toughest League Two ever. But as we always have been, competitive, hard to play against. And people have to, as I say, earn those points they get off us.
Well, I said to someone else, Tom Williams, the Notts County guy, I said, what's I think is happening is there's like 10, 12 clubs that could realistically be pinned in for the autos. But they're all going to be taking points off each other. There's going to be draws, and it's like, well, Sutton, we're used to fighting for every single point, so we might sneak up on the outside there. No one's watching.
Hopefully,
yeah. Well, that is the 50 points is a starting target, and you've got everyone singing the same mantra with 50 points, 50 points. What's going to make this a successful season for you?
Getting 50 points as quick as we possibly can. Because that is always, and even in our National League winning season, that was my goal. It was to get 50 on the board as quick as we possibly can, and that is the first target. But I'm not standing still. We're not just making the numbers up here in League Two, and we're constantly looking to improve as a football club, both on and off the pitch. in every single aspect that is involved in the day-to-day running of a football club. And that's just obviously not me. It was with every member of staff. We've got volunteers of all trying to drive and improve this football club on a day-to-day with obviously the brilliant board of directors that we've got. So me as a manager, I'm responsible for the on the pitch. Now, but I'm also very respectful and also very knowledgeable what we're up against, both budget, size of clubs, etc. So the first goal has got to be 50 points, must be. And we get there as soon as we possibly can. And then it is, if we can unfortunately miss out 2 years ago on 76 points and not getting in the playoffs, is to get over that line and that hurdle. And if we can be lucky with injuries and ride our luck throughout the season, then anything is possible, just like winning the National League. If we can do that, then absolutely anything is possible. So with a good team spirit, a good bunch of players, organised, knowing how we get football results, then anything is possible. And it's not just Sutton that's shown that over the years. There's been many clubs who have defied odds as well. So that's our drive and determination is to try and be the best we can possibly be this season.
And a cup run.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? I was going to say, you obviously not been great in the FA Cup, but I'll maybe take the Papa John's run instead. Eh?
Yeah. Do you know what? Let all these other teams not take it seriously. We love it.
Yeah.
I've got a little song for that as well. I won't play it for you, don't worry. So, again, there's some sort of listener questions here. There's lots about Killian's situation. I'm guessing if there was any news, we would have heard it by now. So there's nothing to add on that?
No.
No,
there's no more news. It's an incredibly sad situation for Killian. I feel so sorry for him. Progressing so well. Great 4 years with us. Played for 19 years old, has played a lot of league games and was progressing so well. But now he's not with a club. He's missed half a pre-season. He hasn't signed for anyone until we're told otherwise, and we get the offer in a conversation, which would obviously be due. So at the moment, I don't know exactly where he is. I believe he's been on trial somewhere. I don't know if he's still on trial, and I don't know where he's at or what he's doing. But the door is always still open here for him because, I love Killian to bits and would want to continue working with him and improving him like I have done and getting to where he is today. So, we'll see how that one. But as we stand now, there's no more developments at the moment.
Okay. There's also a ridiculous number of questions asking about the French Killian and could we sign him for an hour, which I don't even think that would work. But I think it's quite positive that there's not loads of questions because things must be going well. And there are none from the players. But are there any areas of improvement that you're looking to address in this season?
Constantly looking to improve, and tweak and adapt. And I don't want to give the secrets away, though, Mike, do I? Leading into the season, but no. With the personnel and the mentality and what we've created, yes, to keep teams guessing a little bit on what we're doing, and a little bit of freshness in what we're doing, and a few things that we've been working on in training that we'll hopefully see in the games coming up.
Excellent. And since you've become a manager, what improvements or changes or how well do you think you've developed? I mean, aside from ditching the suit in your first interview, how else have you developed?
Ditching the suit in my first interview. Thankfully, I never wore that suit during the game, but I soon moved to the tracksuit manager. I thought I needed to change something, so I soon moved to that, and I'll certainly be staying there. What do you change? It is just nothing can prepare you for management and your experiences that you've got to face. And I'm still young and reasonably new to it, if you like, only 4 years only. But your experiences, good and bad, make you develop and improve as a manager. And I'm certainly a better manager now, of course, than I was when I walked in on day one. And you constantly are learning, improving, using your experience, your knowledge, and constantly looking to improve both as yourself, but obviously as your team and how you do things. And I look at driving into the ground yesterday was a bit weird in the morning because we're coming in for training, but just used to remember just driving in, me and Jason sitting in the office and getting ready to train on the 3G, ready for a National League fixture. And now I'm walking in and we're doing a press day with gifts and all sorts going on, and training on an unbelievably lovely grass pitch and loads of staff and new stand and floodlights, and thinking, God, how's all this changed so quickly, you know? So everything's improving. I'm looking to continue to improve. Of course, no one can ever stand still in any walk of life. So I'm certainly looking to improve myself, but as my team as well, every single day.
Please tell me that you and Jason have done a GIF.
I think we have, yeah.
Oh, yes. I cannot wait for that.
Don't get carried away. It's nothing too fancy. Yeah, you're not getting me too excited on that.
Right. This one, someone was definitely up to mischief, and I can do this because you're quite far away from me. During the warm-ups, the players seem to have absolutely no problem shooting from well outside the box. During the games, they seem to have a reluctance to do so. Any reason for that?
I wouldn't. So I think they're warming up, they're striking balls, they're just getting into the field of things. So, but I wouldn't necessarily see that they turn down many opportunities when they're in front of goal 20 yards out. I'll bear that in mind, Mike.
Don't shout at me when you see me. Right, there's again, this is going to be a struggle one, but there's a young team, 11-a-side team, I don't know what age group, actually, called Coombs Finest, and they're looking for a promotion. They're saying, what advice would you give them? Knowing nothing else about the situation.
Well, to get them promoted?
Yeah.
Be as fit as you can, be as organised as you can, and have the best team spirit.
Excellent. Last one. I can't imagine who sent this one. Can you confirm that from the video that you saw during the fans match, the good-looking left-back was not at fault for the goal?
I was definitely at fault for the goal. And,
No. I've got it in writing.
And there's no way he was. I was talking to his agent in the summer.
Absolutely not.
Trying to get him in.
Yeah, absolutely not. Right. Final thing. I'm going to flip it a little bit. Your final rallying call to the Sutton United fans. What is it you want to say to the fans on the start of the new season?
That for me, the fan base and everything that we spoke about in this chat is improving and developing and getting better with every aspect of this football club, and we're only going in one direction. And the supporters play an absolutely huge and pivotal role on match days as well as not on non-match days as well in the support that they give everyone within the football club. But to go and get results on a Saturday afternoon or a Tuesday night, the supporters have a huge impact on that. And we have noticed, and it's facts, in terms of the attendance is increasing and getting louder and getting bigger, home and away, by the way. And certainly noticing more noise on the road as well and more numbers. So I'll just encourage everyone to come to as many possible games, home and away, and to bring mates, spread the word, and keep improving our attendances and atmosphere on a home match day for sure, but certainly on the road when we're supporting the boys, because it's invaluable to all of us, and we really want them right behind us and together like everyone is at this football club.
Perfect. Okay, well, that wraps up this episode of Sutton Podcast. As always, I appreciate everyone's ear attention, and it's going to stick. Follow, like, share Sutton Podcast on all the social medias, subscribe on your preferred platforms, give us a review. And until next time, thank you to our sponsors, Lucky Star Gin. Huge thank you to yourself, Matt. And thanks to all the listeners. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Take care, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Thanks for everything you're doing as well. It's another good podcast, and look forward to seeing you and everyone else on Saturday against Notts County.
Perfect.
Brilliant.
United! 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 United!